Imagine booking a 2-week vacation and realizing only 2 days in that you never want to leave.
Haha. That was me. 2 days into my first trip to Ghana, and I knew I could stay here forever. Before that trip, I wasn't even sure I wanted to come at all.
And now he's the one convincing people to come to Ghana. So let's talk about how one trip changed everything for us and how it could for you too.
Aquaba, and welcome to Expat Life Ghana. I'm Tony. This is my wife, Ayo. We're documenting our move from Texas to Ghana as we go beyond the return. Have you ever taken a trip that completely changed the way you see the world, or even your own life? Because that's exactly what happened to me.
Okay, so today we are sharing the moment everything clicked for Tony and the biggest lessons we learned and why this might be your sign to book that trip you've been thinking about forever.
Listen, before, Ghana wasn't even on my radar. Honestly, I didn't even have a passport. Just had to put that in there, huh?
I did.
Africa? Never thought about going. Never thought I needed to.
Meanwhile, I'd been coming back and forth my whole life, so it wasn't just some random place on a map, it was home. When I told Tony I wanted our first trip to be 6 weeks,
Not at all. I shut that down real quick. I said 2 weeks max. 6 weeks in Africa? That felt like a lifetime to me. I had all the questions people have before their first trip. Like, what's it really like? Is it safe? Will I feel comfortable? Will I stick out? Is it going to be a struggle? And let's be honest, all the things we've been taught about Africa growing up, it really messes with you.
Yeah, the media does not really show the real Africa and what the real experience can be like. And I think that is what kind of makes people so hesitant and resistant to it.
So we land in Ghana and I'm still feeling a little out of place, New country, new culture. I'm looking around like, what did I just sign up for?
He was on a high alert all the time. Every little thing was new to him, like the smells, the sounds, the way people greeted one another.
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, I was expecting to feel a little bit more out of place. Like I thought I was going to stand out as an American everywhere I went. But something really weird happened. I didn't feel like a stranger.
Yeah, and I could see that shift happening in real time. But it wasn't just the environment. There was a moment that really flipped everything for you, right?
Yeah, we were walking in our neighborhood with Pop, Ayo's dad, and a group of young guys was coming towards us. And we were kind of down a narrow pathway, dark in the evening. And listen, back in the US, I had that instinct, that one that tells you, stay aware, head on the swivel, pay attention to where you're at, read the situation, make sure there's nothing about to pop off.
Right, you were like in total survival mode, always looking in that back home brain, right?
Exactly. But here's the thing. I tensed up out of habit, but nothing happened. No tension, no weird energy, just a regular walk. And I was greeted as Pop was with a good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. And that was the first time I noticed I didn't have to carry that weight here.
And that's when things really started clicking for you.
Then that's when I started asking myself, what else am I carrying that I don't need to? What ideas, fears, what limits have I put on myself that don't even belong to me?
Ooh, that's deep. Okay, y'all, drop a comment. What's one thing you've been carrying that wasn't even yours?
After that walk, something in me changed. I wasn't just visiting anymore. I was seeing Ghana differently. And I realized I've been living my whole life with this invisible baggage.
Yeah, and once you realize that, you can't like unsee it.
Exactly. So the next few days, I started paying attention. Every interaction, every moment, it all felt lighter. People they weren't performing. They weren't code switching. They weren't trying to prove themselves. For the first time in my life, I thought, what if I could just be too?
And this is where it gets really interesting because once that switch flipped for Tony, everything about our trip started to feel different.
Yes, I started feeling less like a tourist and more like, what if this was my life? What if this doesn't what a 2 week trip, but something bigger?
And that's where I want you, yes, you who are watching, to ask yourself the same thing, because this isn't just our story. This is the story of so many people who are doing the same thing we've done.
For real, this is your moment to ask, what if a trip could be more than just a vacation? And what if it could change everything?
Yeah, I mean, I could totally see this moment in you where you didn't want to just leave and go back to our normal lives. But what happens now once you have that realization? What do you do if you still have a return ticket?
And that's the part no one talks about. What do you do when you realize deep in your gut that the life you're supposed to go back to doesn't fit anymore?
I could totally see it in you. That last week, every time we went somewhere, you weren't just like enjoying the moment or whatever. I think you were picturing yourself being there or living there like all the time.
Exactly. Every meal, every conversation, every walk down the street, it all felt different. I wasn't just thinking, this is nice for a trip. I was thinking, how do I make this my life?
But here's the thing, a lot of people feel that pull. They visit, they fall in love, they get inspired. But then what? Like, what's the next step?
See, this is where most people get stuck. You feel it, but then you can't get on that plane, go back home, and what? You get busy, you get distracted, and before you know it, that feeling fades.
But if you're watching this and thinking, yeah, that's me, I felt that pull, then don't let it go. Don't let it fade.
And that's why we want to give you something real to do, something to take that feeling and turn it into action.
Yeah, so before we get into the exact steps we took to go from that feeling to actually living here, I want to do something right now.
Pull out your phone, open your notes app, or grab a piece of paper and pen, write this down. What if I didn't just visit? What if I actually lived there?
Ooh, that's the starting point, because in a second we're going to break down exactly what you have to do with that question. And trust me, it's going to change the way you look at your next trip.
But there was one moment, one that changed everything. It wasn't just a thought or a dream anymore. It was real. And in that instant, I knew I could actually do this. It was our last afternoon in Ghana. I was sitting outside just watching. And I saw our boys running, laughing, playing in the street with other kids. No fear, no weight on them, just free.
I remember that day.
Yeah, and that's when it hit me. You know, I had carried all that weight my whole life. My father carried it. His father before him carried it. That hyper awareness, that survival mode, it had been passed down generation after generation. But my boys, they weren't carrying it. They weren't shrinking themselves. They weren't watching their backs, reading the room, calculating every move. And I thought, I can't let them pick that up. I can't take them back just for them to learn what I was trying my hardest to unlearn.
Yeah, I think that's when you knew.
Yeah. That's when I knew I wasn't just thinking about me anymore. This was about my life. This was about theirs. So remember that question we asked you at the beginning.
Right. What if you didn't just visit? What if you actually lived here?
I asked myself that question, and by the end of that trip, instead of counting down the days to go home, I started thinking, how can I stay longer?
You knew. You totally knew.
Yeah, Ghana wasn't done with me. I wasn't done with Ghana.
I could tell that this was the beginning of something bigger.
Yeah. I told Io we should have done the full 6 weeks, and she just gave me this look.
I told you so. I told you so.
Yeah, you told me. But seriously, look back at what you wrote down. That's not just a question. It's a starting point, because once you ask it, your brain starts doing something crazy.
Yeah, it starts looking for answers.
And that's exactly what happened to us. That moment, I admitted to myself that I didn't want to leave. My whole perspective, it shifted.
Yeah, so we started asking, like, what would it take? What would it actually take to move here?
Yeah, and at first that question felt huge.
Yeah.
You know, overwhelming. Like, where do you even start?
But once we broke it down, we actually took a look at it, it wasn't as complicated as we thought. So today we're going to do the same for you.
We're going to show you how to take that feeling,
Yeah, that moment that you realize you don't want to actually go back to the same old grind,
and turn it into an actual plan.
Yeah, like a real doable plan.
Step one
Whew.
starts right now.
Okay, we're ready.
So
Step
let's
one.
break this down. Because moving to Ghana isn't about packing your bags tomorrow and hopping or hoping for the best.
Please don't do that. Don't do that. This is about intentionality. You have to have a plan. And the first step is all about
Exposure.
exactly. You can't plan, you can't build a life and see yourself in this place by just watching TV. Okay. You have to come and see it for yourself.
That means getting here, but not just to visit all stuck in vacation mode, but to get out of the hotel, off the resort, and into real life.
Yeah, that vacation mode is not the real Ghana. You have to visit the markets. You have to ride a trotro, talk to the ride, use local transportation. Is that better? Talk to the locals, the ones who aren't trying to sell you something, so that you're actually feeling it, like you're doing it.
Yeah, and most importantly, stay long enough to feel the rhythm of everyday life because a 1 week trip, that's a vacation.
Yeah, but 3 weeks, 6 weeks, now you're starting to see the difference between visiting and living.
And listen, if you only got a week, that's fine. You just have to be intentional.
Yep, which brings us to step two.
The next thing that stops most people, l'argent.
Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, that money. How are you going to afford this? What about my job? Isn't Ghana expensive? So many questions.
Yeah, and listen, I get it. But let me hit you with something. If you can afford a vacation, you can afford to start this journey.
Your money definitely like works differently here, but once you figure that out, game changer.
Yeah. You might have to shift your mindset around money so you can start setting yourself up to make this move work.
Okay, so my favorite thing, let's talk numbers because moving to Ghana isn't about being super rich. It's about understanding what you value.
First thing you have to understand, your money stretches differently here.
It's like a little stretchy and then a little tighty. I think that, yeah, you can get it
Right.
to stretch if you do it right. You have to
Yeah.
do it right.
But if you try to live like you're still in the US, importing everything, only eating at expat restaurants and living in the most expensive neighborhoods, yeah, Ghana can be pricey.
It is going to be really pricey. But if you are open to adapting, if you learn how to navigate the local outdoor markets, and if you're willing to make a few adjustments, your cost of living can drop dramatically.
And here's what really changed things for us.
Earning in dollars and spending in CDs. My daddy taught me that one.
Yeah, he was right. If you have a way to make money online, remotely, or even in your retirement, uh, you want your income to stay strong, but your expenses drop.
Yeah, and if you don't have that part of it, it's okay because step three is all about how you can build a foundation before you move. Whew, step three.
All right, you visited Ghana with fresh eyes. You started figuring out the money side. Now what?
You got to test the waters. You got to test the waters.
That means setting up short-term stays, exploring different areas, connecting with people who've already done this.
Absolutely. And getting real about what your version of this life is going to look like because moving to Ghana isn't a one size fits all experience.
Yes, some folks come and want to build a business. Some want to work remotely. Some just want to retire.
Enjoy that life,
Amen.
right? But no matter what, the biggest mistake you can make,
trying to figure it all out alone.
Yeah, that's why we built a community to help you skip the guesswork, dodge all those big mistakes, and actually make this transition work. That means getting into our closed Facebook group so that you can join folks just like you and ask questions and get good answers.
Yeah. So let's bring this full circle.
Okay, so you wrote down that question earlier. What if I didn't just visit? What if I actually lived here?
Now we want you to take it one step further.
Drop us in a comment, send us a message, whatever you need to. Tell us what's holding you back, what questions you still have.
Trust me, we've been there.
We really have been
and
there.
We've got you.
We really have been there. If you are ready to take action, click on the link below. We put together a quick step-by-step guide to help you map out the move, whether it's next year, 5 years from now, or just a dream in the future. At least you can get yourself started.
It starts with a decision, a shift in perspective.
And who knows, right? Like maybe the next time you visit Ghana, you won't just be visiting.
You'll be coming home. And with that, Charlie out for now.